Hello audience, just trying to sail out of this little bay at the moment. There's two different sets of rapids I can hit, sort of depending on wind and what time I get to which one. I'm kind of hoping once I get around the corner back into whatever calm channel I guess it's called, that it will be kind of blowing me downwind. Hopefully anyways. It's hard to tell what the wind is doing over on that side, but if it's consistent with this side, it should be blowing me relatively downwind. I think it looks like it's coming from the south right now. So yeah, as long as it stays south, that'll be good for my direction. Of course, it did start to rain as soon as I pulled up the anchor. And of course, I also lost my wind while I was up there talking to y'all. It was enough to get me going up to a knot, but I just lost half a knot there, so we'll see what happens again. It is extremely light air as usual. But I mean, I just went and kind of explored all of the land that there is to explore here. As you can tell probably, it's pretty mountainous, so the terrain goes upwards very quickly and it's not really hospitable climbing. For whatever reason, the wind is not doing what the top of the mast says it's doing. So that shouldn't really come as a shock to me, I guess. Junk. Always a bit of a struggle when I don't want to start the engine. But I do have a lot of time on my hands here, I think. About 4 hours to get to where I want to go. So just to tell y'all what I did there, it actually worked pretty well in this light wind. I just unfurled the Genoa and just basically used that to get myself going, and then once I was able to point windward, it was a piece of cake to get the sail up. Now it is extremely light air, so whether or not that'll work in heavier air, I'll have to try that sometime, but it did work quite well this day. And as you can see, we're making decent use of this little amount of wind here. I think going 1.6 knots with whatever it would be, maybe 5 knots of apparent wind, something like that. Hard to say. Alright, what is it? Jeez, it's like an hour and a half later. We're just finally getting out of that little channel. That little bay, I guess, Francis Bay. Comm channel is just off the starboard here. Very minimal wind. Saw my first bear of, I guess, up here since I've been on my boat, so that was fun. Got a bunch of video of him. And yeah, I'm probably gonna miss slack tide now as far as the kind of narrow current sections are, but whatever. I'll deal with that tomorrow maybe. We'll see what happens. See where I end up. Who knows? This little bear here would be the first bear I've seen since being in BC. Looks like a little black bear cub climbing around on the rocks. I was a wee bit nervous about all the big piles of poo I was seeing when I was on shore. So him and his, well, the rest of his family, I guess, could have very well been doing it. Cute little guy just hanging out on the rocks there. Try to keep him in the frame here. I'm really not sailing at all at the moment. I have a feeling I'm actually moving backwards with the current right now. But I did find this guy and that little friend there. Just surfaced out of the water. Always friends nearby. Sorry about that. Maybe have to steer. I honestly have no clue what's going on with the wind right now. The mast says it's coming from behind me, but it kind of seems to be pushing my sails, you know, from the port side of the boat. I'll try to keep this fella, keep an eye on him and see what he's up to. Really not sure what he's eating. I did see like a lot of shells in the poo, so it's quite possible that they eat shellfish. I don't really know. I kind of thought bears ate berries. Well, speaking of which, I did find some berries to eat. First berries of the year. I was pretty happy about that. But I mean, right now, this, you know, not sailing is gonna just take me closer to Mr. Bear, I guess, which isn't a bad thing, but it'd be nice if I was moving. I wonder if that wee boyo is eating seaweed. I really have no idea. I'll sit down while I watch this wee fella. There was earlier when I was walking around on shore, it actually did feel windy, which is why I decided to, you know, try to sail away from here, but definitely not the case now that I'm on the water. However, we wouldn't have seen this little friend if I didn't get on the water, so that could actually be an adult black bear. I guess they're not all that big. I mean, the ones I see in Alberta anyways, that could very well be an adult. Not too sure. The wee boy is going for a climb though, much like I did earlier on. This is mainland BC. Just in case anyone is wondering, this is not a coastline. Or it is a coastline, obviously, but it's not an island, what I'm trying to say. The wind is actually trying to do something useful for me here, but yeah, really not doing much use. It is getting me closer to this fella, I guess. But it is all over the place. It's, you know, straight behind me now. Not really sure if I'm going to have enough wind to even get out of here without starting the engine. It is not looking promising. If this wind stays at all consistent, I should be able to make up a little bit, you know, better angle when I turn to a port side tack here. But I mean, the wind has been swirling around and just doing all kinds of funky stuff, because I guess probably, I don't know what you can see in the GoPro, but it's just a bunch of inlets around here. There's, you know, wind is kind of funneling through each inlet and meeting here in the middle. So I really have no clue what's gonna happen here. There does seem to be kind of a consistent breeze coming off my starboard, like I said, but that's kind of remaining to be seen whether it'll stay that way or not. But I am far enough from the shoreline, I suppose, now. As I've stated before, this mammoth Genoa does not do me any favors in these light wind sort of scenarios. It's definitely all snagged right now. This whole trying to sail everywhere business does get very frustrating on days like today. And just like that, we are motoring. Unfortunately, there's just like zero wind. Very annoying. Normally I'm not a big fan of motoring, as you would know if you've watched my previous videos, and I, you know, really would rather just put up with the annoyingness of not sailing, but I do have a bit of a time deadline here. I gave myself, I believe, approximately 4 hours in total to get to the entrance to the Yuculta Rapids, so That's as I didn't have the time to go 1 knot per se, so when it got really slow going, I did obviously have to motor in times here, and that would be the case coming up in the future as well. Alrighty, as you can see, we finally got enough wind to sail, going about 4 knots, just tacking my way up to the Yuculta rapids right now. As long as I maintain this speed, I think I'll actually make it there just at the right amount of time here. So that's kind of promising. The ocean is looking calmer, so I don't know if that means that the wind is slowing down, or whether or not that's what that means, I don't know yet. But yeah, it's just over there. You'll see it next time I spin around here. As I thought, the wind is losing some energy here. I was paying attention to the distance I was from the rapids and basically what speed I could get with my motor, so I knew I was, never gonna be running directly all the time here. I planned ahead early enough, I left early enough that I had time to spare, kind of thing. And I was keeping an eye on distancing and motoring time just in case. Yeah, I do want to have battery power when we go through the rapids, so bye-bye. Alrighty, it's rapids time, so hopefully we survive this one. We've survived all of them so far, so I'm just a little skeptical about my timing here. That's just from what I'm reading. I should have came early in the morning rather than right now, but I'm not trying to get through all 3 of them today, so I don't think I'll have any major issues. As you may or may not see, there's a lot of logs and shit I'm gonna have to try to avoid here. So I really hope I don't have to contend with current while I'm avoiding said logs. The big sea line right behind us right now, I just noticed. Hello, friend. I'm about 15-20 minutes early by my calculations. When you see the boat move and rock and stuff, that's all the current underneath. It does funky things with the keel. But everything says to stay on Stewart Island side, which is on the right here, the port side. Starboard side, sorry. And apparently I'll be catching back eddies through there, and then I cut left to Sonora. So we'll see if that works. For a different view here, you can see those logs are trucking along pretty well. Like I said, right in front of me anyways, doesn't look very gnarly at all. I do believe I'm a wee bit early, but yeah, I mean, aside from those guys moving along pretty quickly, I don't see any kind of gnarly turbulence ahead. So now, having made this mistake and looking back and reflecting on it, it turns out I was a wee bit late, not a wee bit early. If I would have arrived earlier and caught the ebb flow through the first set of rapids to hit the second set at slack, would have made a whole whack more sense. Yeah, I was definitely a wee bit late arriving here as I was fighting the flood the entire way. So yeah, I mean, if you're forced, or if I was forced to do it again at low water, I would definitely use the remaining ebb to my advantage. Take my chances with whatever sort of whirlpools and such are going with me rather than against me, at least. That probably would have worked out a whole whack better, but we'll just let a bit more of this video play out at, you know, kind of accelerated speed here, and then I'm kind of thinking at this point in time that the next bit of video I have where things really got pretty hairy, I'll just let that all play out in regular time, so it'll be sort of I guess what not to do. Watch me struggle, and you can come to your own conclusions as to why you probably wouldn't want to be out there in the next coming video. At this point in time, I'm not in any big rush. I'm keeping the RPMs, you know, below 75%. Just making sure I have more power available if I need it. And I didn't think I was in a hurry here, as I stated previously. At the time, I thought I was early. Yeah, just a miscalculation there. But anyways, so just moving along here, I'll kind of let you know what I've previously learned going through these whirlpools. The boat acts, or the keel generates lift, I believe. I haven't actually read into this, so I'm just telling you kind of what I can feel, and what it feels like is much the same as when the boat heels over from wind. The keel generates lift in the water. However that works. I'm not going to get into the physics of it. But yeah, it feels the exact same way when these whirlpools grab you and kind of heel the boat over. The boat feels like it basically wants to accelerate out of it, provided you're quick on the rudder and get it the opposite direction, sort of thing. So as I approach some of them sort of close, I'm keeping a very close eye on everything that's going on around me. One hand is always on the throttle and one hand is always on the wheel here in this situation. And yeah, like I said, just from previous experience, I know I need to be on the ball and react quickly, and I've already gotten a pretty good feel for what the whirlpools do as you get near them, or unfortunately on top of them at some points in time. And now at this particular moment in time, I had read that, you know, small aluminum boats and such can go down here pretty easily when they get caught up in this kind of turbulence. I was of the opinion that a sailboat probably didn't have anything to worry about. I was later told by a local that it is indeed possible for one of these whirlpools to swallow a sailboat. Now, obviously I've never witnessed that in person, so I can't speak on the matter, but I am paying great respect, because I do know that there is a lot of power working against me here. On the left there's some sort of Sonora Island resort or something to that effect. I'm just trying to get across to the Sonora Island side right now. I'm thinking it'll help me out. I'm still very determined to make it through Gillard Passage at this point in time. You know, had I known what I know now, I would have stayed on the Stewart Island side and just gone straight to Big Bay, because yeah, this was ultimately just a giant waste of fuel. I did learn quite a bit, so I can't call it a giant waste of fuel, but it was a costly learning experience as far as fuel and engine wear are concerned. I guess it's worth mentioning that I have been through a similar situation going through the seashell Circumnavigation narrows. I did that at the wrong time of day as well, and fought quite a bit of current to get through that section. So I've dealt with whirlpools and overfalls and, you know, this sort of water I have seen before, and I did survive it once. So like I said, I was pretty determined. The current is now pretty high. I'm barely making any forward progress at this point. I can't remember exactly, maybe 3 knots is all I'm getting at basically full power, or pretty close to full power now. So you'll see me just, you know, continue to struggle, very determined to make my way through here. We'll close up this portion of the video with just the rest of this is not all that spectacular, nothing major here. I'm just fighting a lot of current against me at the moment. There's no big whirlpools or anything too gnarly just yet. So yeah, we'll just let this play out at 3 times speed here for the next wee bit, and we'll call that the end of part 1. So part 2 is me ultimately deciding it's time to give up. I guess part 3, honestly, at this point, I haven't even looked at. That'll be the next morning, leaving the dock. So that'll be coming shortly. I now have, you know, some data I can play with here on internet land. So yeah, that one will be coming out sooner than later, and well, you'll see part 1 and 2 here, I guess. No. So just so you know why there's I haven't put out any videos recently, or why I'm well behind, the whole kind of northern tip of the island here has really limited cell phone reception. It was very few days, kind of hours, where I would have the odd bit of cell signal. For like the last 3 weeks, it was very spotty. So that's why things are sort of behind, and you know, you're not seeing a lot of content from me lately, if anyone is following and caring.